Previously,
Professor Charles Xavier is rushed through surgery. A wound and infection confuses the on-call doctors. Meanwhile, X-Factor, Strong Guy, and Wolfsbane are investigating the scene of the assassination, looking for clues to Cable's whereabouts when X-Force shows up. A clash between X-Force and X-Factor leads to X-Force's retreat and the X-Men arriving to join X-Factor in hunting down X-Force in hopes of locating Cable, the #1 suspect. Jean Grey and Scott Summers are delivered by 3 of the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse to who they thought was Apocalypse, but it was not. And back at the hospital, those on hand hear the horrible news. Professor Charles Xavier has been infected with the techno-organic virus. In the 3rd week of November of 1992, X-Men issue 14 was released. This is that story, the 3rd verse, part 3 of the X-Cutioner song. Professor Xavier, infected by a techno-organic virus. The man who shot him, Cable. He's not getting any better, I'm afraid to say. Not even the mansion's alien Shi'ar medical equipment is making a dent in his condition. You have to believe we can make a difference, Hank squawks over the video call as we look in at Professor Charles Xavier on a medical bed. I'm not the defeatist type, but quite frankly, I'm open to suggestions, because if we don't do something soon, Charles Xavier is going to die. Stan Lee proudly presents A Tale of the X-Men, fingers on the trigger. And as we pull back, we see Storm of the X-Men, Havoc of X-Factor, and Valerie Cooper, government liaison, in the observation room. The blue-furred mutant scientist, Henry McCoy, the Beast, and mutant geneticist expert Moira McTaggart on the video screen. Should we call in any outside help? Reed Richards? Maybe Hank Pym? Not to sound great for Valerie, but if Moira McTaggart and the Beast cannot handle Charles spreading illness, I'm afraid no one can. Thank you for the vote of confidence, Ororo. And to you, Moira, for calling once you heard about the accident. I know how hard this has been for you, but folks, this is getting us nowhere. The technovirus, does it bear any similarities to those you have encountered before with Vegas and Apocalypse? Beast replies, yes and no. It appears to be self-terminating and self-replicatory. For every probe which finds a way to slow its spread, the virus finds a way to reroute itself to a new cell cluster. As Alex, Valerie, and Oro leave the observation room, Havoc asks, so what do we tell the others? Tell them the truth, Alex. Tell them at best Professor X is still alive, and that we'd better find a cure quickly, the Beast calls out as they walk away. They stand grimly, yet with pride, these children of the atom, awaiting to hear the news on their mentor's condition. They represent the dream of Charles Xavier, past, present, and future. The X-Men, Iceman, Colossus, Cyclops, Archangel, Bishop, Gambit, Rogue, Jubilee, and Wolverine. The government-sponsored X-Factor, Quicksilver, Madrox, Strong Guy, Polaris, and Wolfsbane. Well, Bishop asks. Ororo replies, he is stable. I'm afraid that is all we can expect for now. Havoc states, we have to find a way to save him, and that means finding Cable. But Scott and Jean are missing as well, Havoc, Colossus responds. Iceman adds in, so we divide into 2 groups. The Beast, and anticipating a division along pre-established team parameters, I would prefer joining Gold Team in searching out the Horsemen. If Apocalypse is involved, Warren, Bobby, and I have the most experience dealing with him. Very well, Hank. The Gold Team will also include Quicksilver. Quicksilver asks, not that it matters a whit to me, but may I ask why, Ororo? Alex responds instead, if it comes down to it, Apocalypse's last base was on the moon, Pietro. The current residents of old Luna are your relatives, the Inhumans, right? Storm continues on, the remainder of you will search for X-Force and Cable. Bishop interrupts, I will stay here, Wind Rider. And Storm responds, I do not think that is necessary, Bishop. Whoever attempted to murder Charles may try to do so again. I will not fail in protecting him, protecting his dream, a second time. Very well then. We know what we have to do, people. Let's do it. Bocas del Toro, Panama. What an absolute dump. You sure this is where we're supposed to meet the guy? Reaper of the Mutant Liberation Front asks his teammate. Positive, Forearm replies. Quit crying and wipe your forehead. You're sweating on me. Well, excuse me. I hate this heat. Deep hatred. When I was a kid, I decided I'd rid the world of humidity, Reaper complains. You were a pretty stupid kid. No kidding, Reaper says. And he continues, where the heck is this Phoebe? As a hand comes flying out of the back to grab him. Brah! The Feb, as you so charmingly call him, has been here longer than you suspect, Mr. Sinister states. Where are my packages? Where are the bodies? Forearm retorts. Why, they have been here all along as well. Jean Grey and Scott Summers, they are yours, Mr. Sinister states as Jean Grey and Scott Summers appear imprisoned in clear tubes. In exchange for the materials your employer guaranteed I would receive, Sinister says as we zoom in on his demonic eye. "'Tis a special delivery for Mr. Sinister," Reaper says. "Zero Express when it absolutely has to be there," Reaper exclaims as Zero exits a portal holding a metal canister. "The genetic matrix is contained inside that canister?" Mr. Sinister questions. "If the boss agrees to a trade, he comes through on his end," Forearm says as he takes the bodies of Scott Summers and Jean Grey. "You are free to go then, with your lives, and those of Scott Summers and Jean Grey as well," Mr. Sinister says as he grasps the metal canister. "Good riddance to you all, for I have received the better end of this bargain by far. I now have a piece of the future, and with it I shall shake the ever-shifting foundations of mutant kind for evermore." Meanwhile, above the nighttime skies over Texas, a stolen SHIELD personal carrier, "Folks, we are going down!" rattles its way to a painfully obvious conclusion. The craft's occupants, the young renegade mutants called X-Force, accept the situation with their usual discipline. Boom boom. "I knew this stupid bucket wouldn't make it back to Arizona." Cannonball. "Come on, Boomer. We should feel blessed that the IPAC unit, and all of us, were able to walk away from our fight with X-Factor at all. This baby's taking too many hits. We're gonna land hard unless we do something now. Rick?" Cannonball asks with an intense look of concentration on his face. "I follow you, Sam," Richter says. "Try to angle your vibratory wave along the lines of our descent," Cannonball calls back. "Sure, Sam. No problem. Ask me to work on that world peace thing while you're at it." "Okay, let's make this work," Richter yells as he goes vajoom and sends out seismic blasts. Let old Richter rock the clock tonight as Richter glows with seismic energy. Vajoom! It's working. Rick's vibes are slowing down our tumble. Hang on. This is still gonna... Ouch. Hurt. Boomer, status? "I'm just peachy, Sam." "I meant the ship. Do the words junk heap mean anything?" "Communications?" "I'm mine, and I'm calling in the others, but how can they get here before the X-Posse does?" "I don't know, but if they don't find a way, we're fried." Egypt, 25 miles northwest of Bani Manza. Millennia ago, the ancients came to this place to worship, beseeching distant gods for guidance and succor to ease their troubled lives. Those ancients are long dead, their gods dust, and for centuries all has been silent in Bani Manza. Until now. And a hand reaches out. And 9 supplicants of a new religion, 9 mutants called the Dark Riders. Welcome back, my lord. Witness the rebirth of their god. It is too soon. Why has Apocalypse been awakened in an unfinished state of organic coherence, Apocalypse demands as he rises from his healing slumber. We had to bring you out of your healing stage early, boss. There's big trouble brewing, one of the Dark Riders says. My powers are not complete. I am not yet fit to be revived. And Apocalypse reaches out and grabs his minion. But... And another Dark Rider, Master, machinations are being performed against the children of the X. Summers and Gray have been kidnapped. The deed was performed by your vassals in your name. And Apocalypse does not look amused. The irony is not lost on the X-Men as their Blackbird craft flies over the skies of the Midwest towards a confrontation with X-Force. Hasn't the area of the United States below them always been called the heartland of the country? A place the politicians laud for its higher values and greater moral integrity. Ironic, then, that the fight they face is, in many ways, one of values, one of morals, a fight against the next generation of mutants, to determine whether the methods they are choosing in their pursuit of Xavier's dream are right or wrong. It is a flight no one on this sleek bird of prey ever wanted to be a part of. What do the scanners tell us, Cyclops? Cyclops replies to Havoc. Cerebro has picked them up stopped somewhere in West Texas. Why can it detect them now, when it couldn't for the last 8 months? Havoc questions. Rogue replies, the professor suspected that wherever X-Force has been holed up, Cable had some kind of sensory screens which blocked Cerebro's scanning wavelengths. So Havoc questions, then what's happened to force them out of their hiding place? And why do I get the feeling the kids in X-Force have nothing to do with the agenda Cable has established? The Great Plains. They're not kidding. Geez, plain as dry white toast. Funny guy, I mean strong guy, murmurs as he stares out of the plane. Wolfsbane and Gambit are in a discussion. I can agree with what you're saying, Gambit. The ends can never justify the means if the methods taken to get that place are unethical. Hard times, Wolfsbane. Require hard methods, nah? That's easier said than done. Come now, Shuri. What exactly has X-Force done in the time they've been together? It's been so different than what we do. Lorna replies from her seat, we don't go around assassinating people, for one thing, my friend. Guido mumbers, that's for sure. And Wolfsbane decides to interject, Cable took it upon himself to shoot the professor, and ye defend him? How can you be so indifferent? Merely separating the soldiers from the generals, Saul. Lorna speaks up. I wonder how the soldiers could let the general turn them this cold, this hard. Maybe it ain't Cable that's turned him this way, darling, we hear off from the side. Maybe it's just the way of the world that did that. Maybe the dream is dead. Maybe we should all stop pretending it ain't, Wolverine declares as he lights up his stogie, and accept the fact we're living in a nightmare. Wolverine finishes. Havoc turns around. Saddle up, people. We have them. Their ship went down near the Texas-New Mexico border. They're sitting ducks. As we gaze back at the X-Men and X-Factor, getting ready, or being annoyed of Gambit and Wolverine's cigarette and cigar smoke.
Above mankind comes a man who has in many ways chosen to place himself in this high place. The irony being that in order to save his people, he has abandoned them. Temporal displacement activated. Online. Temporal displacement processing. Boom, 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 boom. Welcome back to Graymalkin. Nathan. Professor, why does this trip here take so much more out of me than the trip there? That is a redundant question, Nathan. I know, it's all physics. Talk lore, will you? I have a hangover. You were only gone a short time, Nathan. 26 days, your time, Professor. 11 months, my time. You have no idea how hard it's gotten to survive. Tomorrow. Do not need to leave this temporal zone in order to effect repairs, Nathan. Maybe not for the body, Professor, but sometimes I need to go to effect repairs of the mind. I understand perspective, relaxation. Fill me in on what's happening. Current events prove quite fascinating. Jean Grey and Scott Summers have been apprehended by agents seemingly loyal to the mutant apocalypse. An assassination has been attempted on Charles Xavier. He now lies in a catatonic state. This never happened, Professor. Who did this? Who shot Xavier? Well, regardless of the illogical nature of the evidence presented, Nathan, it would appear that you did. Day's sun creases the horizon behind Xavier's mansion in Westchester, New York. A new day dawning on what could be Charles Xavier's last day on Earth. Coffee? Stale muffin? Yum yum. Not while I am on duty, Jubilation. Listen, Bishop O'Rock, I don't see this side of sunrise too often, you know. So humor me and relax a little, okay? I apologize, child, but Professor Xavier was attacked, and I failed to prevent it. You have no idea how hard that is for me to accept, Bishop states. Listen, you've been sulking around all night long. Catch some winks. Let the mansion security do the work for a while. You could use some shut-eye, Jubilee says. Jubilation, I will not rest until I am certain Xavier is safe. And that occurrence will not be a certainty until his assassin is dead and buried, Bishop declares. Yeah, well, now I can see why it'd be most truly heinous if you gave yourself a break to have a cup of Jubilee Java. Party on, Bishop. Jubilation, it's good. Thank you, Bishop states. Sure, dude. No problemo, Jubilee mutters to herself as she looks back. Blamp, blamp, blamp. All of a sudden, alarms are going off. A perimeter breach. How can this be? Bishop declares as he has his gun and throws the coffee to the side. Someone is inside the mansion. The doors slam open. Bishop states, I do not have time. The alarm continues to go off. To suffer the amenities of hallways, do I make myself for doom? A giant blast from his rifle rings out. Clear? Bishop finishes his statement. Good morning, Mr. Bishop. And we have his sister holding hostages. I have already explained to Miss Cooper and Miss Hunter. I have come not to praise Charles Xavier, but to bury him, Sinister says sinisterly. Bury him for the sins of his failures. Would you care to be counted among those sins? Would you care to die for them? Sinister declares evilly. Somewhere in West Texas. For whoosh. This is it, people. Two groups split up. Rogue and I have the cerebral detectors, so follow us. Maneuver along the IPAC unit from either side. If they're here, we'll pinch them off and pin them down. Havoc orders the combined team of X-Men and X-Factor. Wolverine adds, ditch the toy, darling. I'll pick up their scent. Tough choice, Wolvie. You tense as a rock or my scanner, doing a samba with funny readouts. Wolverine narrows his eyes. I can smell 'em, but something's not right. What is it, my friend? Not sure, Bets. I know most of their scents, but they're muted, like they're ready for us. Are you saying these children plan to ambush us? Cyclops questions. Stop thinking of them as kids, Bets. We're up against soldiers here, Wolverine states, as he pops out his claws. Nothing on the starboard. I think Wolvie's right, Havoc calls out. Let me charge up, just in case. Scanner's picking up movement, but it's garbled, Rogue draws out. They're all around us, Wolverine declares, but I can't tell where. They're either masking their scents or they're standing downwind on purpose. Skaboom! Cyclops is hit with a giant blast. Havoc calls out. Wasn't that Sunspot's energy signature? How did he... Better worry less about who and how, and more about where, Rogue exclaims, 'cause the answer is everywhere. We don't want to fight, folks, but as you can see, Cannonball calls out, if that's the choice you want to make, X-Force is more than ready to give you one. Cannonball declares as we see X-Force in full might. Next time, next video, X vs. X. Bishop vs. Sinister. Cyclops and Jean discover a startling secret. And the next verse of the X-Cutioner song.
hey, where are you going? I didn't get a chance to thank you for watching. And also, to ask you to do the whole YouTube thing. Like if you want the next part, subscribe so you see the future uploads when posted. And of course, commenting and sharing would be awesome. You can also check out my other socials. Links for the Facebook and Instagram are in the video description. Finally, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I really do. And as always, please, take care, keep safe.